video here. This video is going to be how good are these fragrances actually, designer edition. So these are all going to be designer fragrances, except for maybe one, which I'm not sure if it's a designer or not, but we'll include it anyway. So may as well just start with that. The first one, which I'm not sure if it's a designer, so we'll just get it out of the way. Rasasi Hawas. Rasasi Hawas or Hawas. Hawas has been hyped up a lot on the internet. This has kind of been the new trend right now in the fragrance community. Everyone's all aboard this hype train, and they all kind of like hyping it up to be something amazing. So as you'd expect, I got a sample of it to test it out for myself. And if you want to know, does it live up to the hype? No, the answer is no. I'm just going to say this is not going to be a first impressions video because I have already sampled all of these, but I will still give you my opinions on them anyway. So, Rasasi Hawas. The opening smells fruity, very fruity and bubblegum sweet. So, you may hear people talk about Paco Rabanne Invictus being a very bubblegum sweet opening, and you get that with Hawas. It's like literally a very similar opening, much sweeter. So if you don't like the sweetness of Invictus, then maybe avoid Hawas, because this is even sweeter than Invictus, right? But the opening isn't bad. Like, a lot of people hate Invictus. I'm not one of those people that hate Invictus. Invictus was like what I wore through my teens. So that's also another reason why I'm not a big fan of Hawas, is because I haven't even finished my bottle of Invictus from when I was a teen. I've still got that same bottle and it's got like a little bit left, but I never finished it. So I don't really want to be wearing Hawas because it's too similar to Invictus, and I didn't even finish my last bottle of Invictus. So while there is some similarities there, I will say this is better than Invictus. So is it better than Invictus? Yeah, sure, because it's fruitier. It's a little bit more pleasant because there's like some kind of fruit in there. But what does it actually smell like? Yeah, it's got that bubblegum sweet opening. It is also fresh though, so it's a fresh, sweet fragrance. Now with Invictus, one of the differences with Invictus is you get a lot of jasmine in the fragrance. It's more on the jasmine side, where this leans a little bit more fruity, like black currant or some kind of fruit in there. I'm not sure what fruit it is exactly, but to me it does smell like black currant. So I'll go through my notes on this computer that I've written down. So it was apple and citrus and synthetic. So that's what I had written down. You get that apple opening apparently, citrus, and it is very synthetic. So it's not a natural smelling fragrance. I'm pretty sure it's a cheap fragrance, so you don't really expect natural smelling with the cheaper fragrances. However, I did say it has some white floral smell in here. So you still get that white floral smell like Invictus has, but this does kind of remind me a little bit of like the jasmine you get in like Ammar's Reflection Man. It's got that white floral smell still, as you would expect, because I think it is supposed to be a clone of Invictus, or Invictus is supposed to be a clone of this. Like they're 2-in-1 basically, like similar. I did say this was not aquatic, so I think people consider this as an aquatic fragrance. I would not put it in the category as aquatic. I'm not even sure if you can put it in a fresh category, but you can definitely put it in like a sweet fresh kind of category. Something about this is it tends to throw me back in time. So this is more of a time travel fragrance where I go back in time, like to my teenage years, and I don't really want to go back. I want to be moving forward onto new fragrances, something different, not really something that smells like what I used to wear every day, you know. So, and yeah, because it was so hyped up and cheap, I almost bought a bottle of this. I'm glad I didn't blind buy it, because while it is really nice, I like Hawas a lot, so I don't think I hate on this. I just don't think it's blind buy worthy for me. Unless you never really tried Invictus, then maybe you want to go with this over Invictus anyway. But it's nice, like you can't really hate on it. Unless you hate Invictus, then yeah, you can hate on this. So that's about it with Hawas. Just remember, apple, citrus, white florals, bubblegum sweet opening, with relatively good performance as well. It's like a decent performing fragrance. I mean, it does get bonus points for the color. I'll give it some bonus points for having this nice purple coloration to the liquid. However, you wouldn't want to spray this on white clothes, so that might be a down point for you. You don't like colored liquid on white clothes, then maybe avoid Hawas. So the next fragrance I got here is Acqua di Gio Profumo. Acqua di Gio and this is the Profumo version. So it comes in the black bottle usually. What I actually like about Acqua di Gio is the quality of every Acqua di Gio I've ever tried has been absolutely top quality, highest quality, amazing stuff. So you already know the ingredients in Acqua di Gio are just the highest quality you can get, basically. However, the perfumery is not so great. Like, it's not the most creative fragrance out there. It's actually kind of basic. And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't too keen on Acqua di Gio. Like, even as popular as it is and as hyped up as it is, it's too basic for my liking, and I've never really been a fan of the Acqua di Gio line. Not saying it smells bad. Like, it's definitely grown on me a lot since I first smelled it, but I don't really like Acqua di Gio. But the quality, I can't deny the quality of this stuff is just superb. It does not smell synthetic or cheap or anything like that. It's just great quality stuff. So what do you get with this? You get citrus. I think there is like supposed to be some kind of aquatic vibe here with the Acqua di Gio line. So what you get is citrus. You get also green in there. So that's something I wasn't too keen on at first, was the green in here. I think it's either juniper or it's a herb like rosemary or something in there. But you also, the difference with the Profumo version is it's a little bit less fresh. So this is more supposed to have that incense and smokiness to it, whereas the other ones are supposed to be more fresh. So this was their version of being a little darker and smokier. However, I think they all basically smell so similar. The differences are so little. I mean, if you put all three next to each other, you'd have a hard time picking out which is which because they smell so similar. So don't really fuss over like, is Profumo better than Profondo? Should I go with the Profondo over Profumo? Honestly, they smell the same to me. Like, I'm not gonna say that, oh wow, if you buy this, it's gonna be so much different. Like, it's basically the same stuff with the tiniest difference. If you really want to pick out the differences, you only need to say, yeah, oh, this is a little bit more herbal. Profondo is a little bit more green, like juniper. This is a little bit more herbal, like rosemary. And you could say this is smokier. You could say, yeah, it's not as fresh. But in general, I would still go with something like Profondo over this. Like, I don't hate this. It's just, I mean, for what it is, I just think Profondo is a little better because of the freshness. It's a little bit more fresh. Yeah, I've heard that women don't really like the Profumo as much. So that's about what I can say with this. Is quality is great, performance is really great. It's not very original or creative. It's still a very basic scent for what it is. It's just extremely basic. That's something I do like about the Profumo, is it's a little less basic than some of them. Like, the incense and smokiness is actually like a good change, something different. So yeah, I would still pick other aquatic fragrances over this, you know. Light Blue Intense. Light Blue Intense is still more aquatic and more fresh, so you might want to go with that over Acqua di Gio. And yeah, and another one is that whole blue-green category. Like, I know there's a lot of blue fragrances that have rosemary or juniper in them. You could point at like YSL White, you could point at like Hugo Reversed, you could point at Dolce & Gabbana K, Ralph Lauren Polo Deep Blue. There's a few different fragrances like that. You could say, okay, these are green and blue, and you could put like Acqua di Gio like right at the top of those kinds of fragrances because this is still like the highest quality out of them. But I would still go with a Hugo Reversed over this. I would still go with like Polo Deep Blue over Acqua di Gio because it's just, in my opinion, I think Polo Deep Blue has a little bit more character and is a little less basic than this. It's a little better, in my opinion. Okay, next we have Tom Ford Neroli Portofino. It's Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the goal for these Neroli Portofino, or whatever line this is from Tom Ford, I think it's supposed to be like a Mediterranean kind of line. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they were trying to do something Italian here. So just like a throwback or a homage to Italian culture or Italy. Now, I will say that Neroli Portofino, it's not that great. It is very fresh, but it smells like a toilet spray. You get a citrus. There's definitely a toilet spray citrus in here, but the neroli in here, what I like about the neroli is, I'll give you a fact actually. So neroli is actually the flower of an orange. It's like it's a honey type of sweet floral citrus smell. So what's the difference between orange blossom and neroli, despite them basically coming from the same flower or plant, really? Orange blossom is actually more sweet than neroli. And the good thing about neroli portofino is it does have orange blossom and neroli in there. So you get an even sweeter kind of combination of the both. So it's got neroli and orange blossom, and it does give you a very floral, sweet citrus smell. And I do appreciate that about the fragrance, because if you go into the dry down of this, you'll smell orange blossom and neroli in the very, very dry down after like 30 minutes, and it's quite nice in the dry down. But the opening of this is like a harsh, cheap toilet spray, just something that smells very cheap and a little bit harsh and stingy on the nose. It's got that astringent citrus. However, some people may call that rindy or zesty. It's that sour citrus smell. So a lot of people like that about this. It's got that zesty, rindy citrus smell. So if you like that, you may like neroli portofino. To me, I will say I get a lot of jasmine in here as well. So apart from the other white florals like neroli and orange blossom, you get jasmine. You get quite a lot of jasmine actually. And it does kind of remind me a little bit of Artisan Pure in the opening, just with that kind of toilet spray citrus, but then it changes completely from Artisan Pure to something else completely. So my notes on here, I did say it's a little bit like Jimmy Choo Man Ice. So it is very refreshing, and it's got that lemonade vibe to it. But then I also said in the dry down, yeah, it smells a little bit more like Bulgari wood neroli in the dry down. I've seen that comparison a lot. Wood neroli by Bulgari is often compared with neroli portofino. In the opening, they smell completely different, but in the dry down, yeah, you do get that similarity in the dry down. But wood neroli is definitely better than neroli portofino. I wouldn't call them clones at all, because they are quite different. This goes through stages, right? It smells like Artisan Pure in the opening, then it changes to something like Jimmy Choo Man Ice, and then it changes to like wood neroli. I don't hate it, but I would probably not wear this. Like, it's not one of my favorites. I'm not a fan of citrus fragrances, and because it's got the name neroli on there, you would expect it to be a citrus fragrance. So next, we may as well go to another Tom Ford fragrance, which is Mandarino di Amalfi by Tom Ford. So Mandarino di Amalfi. Once again, with Mandarino di Amalfi, you get the cheap toilet citrus smell. The toilet spray, that cheap citrus, but it is a very rindy, zesty citrus. So you may like that. It is sour, it's sharp, it's fresh, like very fresh. So the main difference between Mandarino di Amalfi and neroli portofino is the florals in here are just way more prominent in the Mandarino di Amalfi. This is way more jasmine, so this will actually end up smelling a little bit more like jasmine tea over neroli portofino. It's got the jasmine and orange blossom in there, so I'm pretty sure there might be the two white florals again. But this is a nice hot weather scent. It's got that jasmine tea smell, except the sharp citrus in here is what I don't like about it. However, it's a nice fresh scent if you want something in hot weather. It might be good for you. But the whole Tom Ford fragrances, I have not been impressed by Tom Ford fragrance so far, except for Noir Extreme. However, I've been quite disappointed by Tom Ford fragrances. While I don't hate this, I don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. It's another basic citrus that just never really did it for me. Although I am a fan of jasmine in fragrances, so I like that this at least has that white floral aspect. It's not just a citrus fragrance, it's jasmine and citrus. There's not much else I can say besides I think it's got hedione in it, and hedione is a synthetic substitute for jasmine, which is often used instead of jasmine in like jasmine scented fragrances. So I think it's got hedione in it, which is like jasmine scented, which enhances that jasmine smell when combined with jasmine. Hedione, that's just a little fact I'm going to throw in there. Okay, so next we'll go into one of the ones that I actually like the most from these samples, which was, it's called YSL Tuxedo. So I've heard so many good things about YSL Tuxedo. And you know, I was really excited to try this. Yeah, I was so excited to try YSL Tuxedo just because it's so much hype and because of the fragrances it's being compared to. So as you know, Mercedes Club Black is like one of my favorite scents. It's actually what I'm wearing right now on this shirt, Mercedes Club Black. I went into this expecting it to be a rose fragrance, and I wasn't going to like it because of the rose in here, but I also kind of expected it to be a little bit more like Mercedes Club Black as well, and I was pleasantly surprised because I do not like rose fragrances, but I really love this one. I just want to say there's something I don't really like about it at the start, in the opening. There's a sourness in the opening that I'm not too sure about in the opening, but the dry down of this, I can't say anything bad about the dry down because it's just lovely, but the opening, it is just a little sour in the opening. Apart from that, it's just amazing stuff. Like you get vanilla, you get rose, you get like this Mercedes Club Black type of vanilla. So it's a really cozy, comforting, warm vanilla, like a little bit boozy almost, with this floral rose that doesn't really smell like rose. It's more like, it is a floral smell, but it's not really a rose scent. So this is a vanilla scent first and foremost, and the rose is supporting that. Whereas usually the roles are reversed. Usually the rose is the main note, not the vanilla. And then the vanilla is there just to kind of complement it. So I like how they reversed the roles a little bit there and they made vanilla the focal point of this. So this is mainly a vanilla scent. Great, because that's what I wanted. I love vanilla. And the rose in here is just supporting that a little bit more, okay? It's not heavy on the rose. It doesn't give you that pot puree. It doesn't give you that old lady smell. This is still quite a unisex fragrance as well. So men can wear it, women can wear it. And it does have that boozy, sexy vanilla that's just addictive. It's not overly sweet or gourmand. So there is different types of vanilla, vanilla bean, vanilla extract, synthetic vanillin. You got boozy vanilla, you've got so many different types of vanilla, right? And this is more of the boozy vanilla kind of side of things, you know? There's just something dark in here that makes it very like warm and sweet and can't really figure it out. I never ended up figuring out what the smell actually was, but I can say this is really good. Mainly vanilla scent with a little bit of freshness, a little bit of florals. How good is it actually? Very, very good. Like honestly, I'll be buying a bottle of this or own this a lot. Okay, the next fragrance in here is something that everyone hypes up a lot, right? It's by Dior. It's Dior Sauvage Elixir. Dior Sauvage Elixir. I cannot tell you guys how hyped up this fragrance is on the internet. This stuff is so hyped right now. I had to test it myself to see what the hype is about. And immediately I was like, what the F? Because I don't like it, but I like it. It's such a conflicting emotion that I get from this. I hate it, but I love it. It's like something earthy in here that's like truffle, earthy, bitter. It's a very bitter smell, right? It's very sweet. It smells like cola, like there's a nutmeg or something in here that gives it that cola smell. But then there's like licorice that gives it this anise root beer type of smell. So the licorice or anise combined with the nutmeg, that gives it like a cola root beer smell. And that's what I get, almost like Dr. Pepper. This is like the smell of Dr. Pepper. Although there is a horrible earthy bitterness in here that some people have described of running through a forest of mushrooms and anise or something like that. And some people said it smells like black jelly beans. Yeah, sorry, it was a damp forest of anise covered in penicillin. Sorry, that's what the person said. But to me, I don't really get that damp forest of anise penicillin smell. I think it's more like a... Alright, we're back. Sorry guys, because my camera had just cut out. However, I'll continue where it left off. So we were talking about Dior Sauvage Elixir, and I was saying that people compared it to a black jelly bean smell. I do get the black jelly bean with the anise, but I don't get the damp forest of aniseed like some people were saying. Covered in penicillin. No, I don't really get that smell. To me, it smells like root beer or Dr. Pepper. Like just cola, but it's got a very, very bitter edge to it. I would just say avoid buying Dior Sauvage Elixir because it smells like Paco Rabanne Pure XS Night. And I would just say go with Pure XS Night instead because it's much better. It's got that sparkling cola smell with the vanilla and basically everything you would get from this, but Paco Rabanne Pure XS Night is just better. So go with that over Dior Sauvage Elixir. This is not going to be popular with the ladies. It's just too bitter and too earthy, maybe even fungal smelling. Like, it's got that very fungi smell to it, which girls don't really dig that much, you know. So I will just say I find something in here to be very sexy. It's a love and hate relationship. I should not like this fragrance at all. It's everything I hate, but I actually don't hate it, which is weird. I actually, strangely enough, like the smell of this, but I wouldn't buy it and I wouldn't wear it because I got Pure XS Night anyway, and that's better in my opinion. Alright, so next fragrance up is Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Tom Ford Oud Wood. So a lot of people have actually considered this to be the best Tom Ford fragrance. So what did I do? I bought it to try it to see, is it really the best Tom Ford fragrance out there? But first, let me show you the bottle. Tom Ford Oud Wood. If you are in Australia, you can get these samples from ozfragrances.com. Tom Ford Oud Wood, what do I think about it? The smell of this, pretty much like the name suggests. It's oud and it's wood, and that's about what you get in this fragrance here. Well, it's a little bit more than that, but I'll explain. Oud Wood. The opening of this smells like the opening of Mancera Red Tobacco. The problem I have with this is everyone says the opening of Red Tobacco is like this horrible, nasty opening. Then everyone says Oud Wood is like this amazing, great scent. So why? This smells like the opening of Red Tobacco, so am I missing something? Why is this getting all the praise and Red Tobacco is getting all the hate? That's what I want to know. Because if you actually look at the notes and stuff, you'll find this is pretty close to like a Red Tobacco, right? It's got your oud, it's got your wood, it's got your vanilla in there. That's what you smell, and that's what you get in Red Tobacco. Now, I'd say Red Tobacco is probably more of a clone of Tobacco Oud. So Tom Ford has Tobacco Oud. I think the Tobacco Oud and Red Tobacco are more similar, just because oud, wood, vanilla, that's got it. And I'm pretty sure this is the same. I think this has got oud, wood, vanilla, just missing the tobacco in here. Besides that, I don't think it's a great scent. I don't see the appeal of this. I think maybe it's a little bit more fresh than Red Tobacco because there's no tobacco in here, and the vanilla isn't as strong in here as well. So this is more woody and oudy. Red Tobacco is more vanilla-y and tobacco-y. So that's another reason why I like Red Tobacco. It's just because the vanilla in there is just much stronger. Like you can actually smell the vanilla. In here, the vanilla is not very strong at all. But I'm just going off what I smell. And you smell oud. Oud is like the first thing you smell, and then wood. I mean, they weren't very creative with the name, but the name explains the fragrance perfectly. So if you're wondering what it smells like what the name says. That's what it is. It's not a pleasant smell. Like everyone thinks it's gonna be some great scent. I hear people saying all the time it's like this compliment getter from women, like women are gonna love this. And I can tell you, no, they're not. Women are not going to love this. They're actually probably going to hate it because it's oud, and I don't really know any women that actually like the smell of oud, because oud is actually quite skanky and disgusting. Like oud is not a very nice smell unless it's blended very well with a fragrance. Oud's generally not going to smell that good. You need to mix oud in a fragrance very intelligently to the point where it complements all the other ingredients in there, and the other ingredients complement the oud. Like an example is like Creed Royal Oud. That's what this should have smelled like. This should have smelled more like Creed Royal Oud. You know, obviously, it is what it is. It's not trying to be anything else, right? It's just trying to be oud wood. So, apart from that, if you like the smell of oud, you like the smell of wood, you'll like this. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't wear it. I wouldn't buy it, and I don't see the hype about this. I think it's overrated and it's not worth the hype. So sorry to all the Tom Ford fans out there. If you like it, then no problems. We have no problems, right? Because it's subjective. Fragrance is subjective, but it's not mass appealing where it's going to appeal to like most people. You kind of have to be an oud lover or a fragrance enthusiast, like a connoisseur, if you want to enjoy oud wood. You need that acquired taste to the smell of oud. Next we'll go Rochas or Rochas Moustache. I was going to say man for a second. It's mustache, not man. Rochas Moustache. So, the cool thing about this was actually a free sample that I got with the other samples I bought. So, I've been trying to find Rochas Moustache for ages. Couldn't get a sample anywhere, and then they just randomly throw in a free sample of it, and I was like, wow. I was so stoked about this because I've been wanting to test this for ages. Apparently, this is kind of similar to YSL Tuxedo. However, I don't think it's very similar to YSL Tuxedo at all. It's often compared to it, but it's completely different. It's not that similar, honestly. So the smell of Rochas Moustache, you get lavender, you get this creamy lavender, you get this like almost fresh citrus. So I really wasn't expecting this to be as fresh as it is, sorry. It's quite fresh, you get a citrus opening, and then this creamy lavender smell takes over this beautiful, like, fresh opening. It's just, I can't get enough of this creamy lavender scent. And I know it's probably not lavender, it's probably the rose in here, because this is a rose fragrance. But it's a vanilla, it's a rose, it's a citrus. But don't be fooled about the rose in here. It tends to smell a little bit more like a lavender bath bomb or something, like a lavender soap or a lavender skin lotion, like a moisturizer or something, like some kind of lavender cream, and it's just heavenly. It's beautiful, but it's way too feminine. It's not a masculine scent. This is like a really feminine kind of woman's scent, which is ironic because it's called mustache. You would assume it's for like a man, and it is unisex. It's not going to be like unwearable to a guy. But if you want to smell like a lavender bath bomb or a lavender hand soap, a creamy one, like a very, very creamy one, then you might like the mustache. To me, that's what I get. There's no lavender in here, so I have to keep telling you that there is no lavender in here. It is rose, but if you don't like rose scented things, it leans more towards lavender than rose smelling. Because what I've noticed is rose can kind of smell different. It's not always a pot puree rose. It's not always an old lady smell. This hasn't got that. This is like a creamy, soapy type of rose where it just goes so well with the citrus and vanilla. So this is an example of a sweet fragrance that has a very, very good balance of freshness to it. Because I always talk about this. Sweet fragrances, obviously they can be just sweet and still smell good. Like I reckon some sweet fragrances would smell better without the freshness in there. But then I personally like something that does have that balance of sweet and fresh, but you gotta be really careful not to make it smell sour. Because an example is like Azaro Wanted by Night. It's trying to be too fresh and it just has this sourness, this stale sourness that doesn't work with it. And you have some fragrances that sour, freshness, whatever they're doing, it just would be better without it. But this is an example of how to do it right. So sweet and fresh, it's done right with Rochas Moustache. And yeah, lavender, vanilla, citrus smelling, but it's rose, not lavender. And yeah, performance is actually not that great on this either. I don't get that much performance out of it. So next we move on to another favorite of mine, Cool Water Intense. I know what you're thinking. Cool Water, it's a cheap Davidoff fragrance, right? So it's not gonna be that great. Wrong. Cool Water Intense by Davidoff. I've heard all the hype online about Cool Water Intense and I just assumed it wasn't going to be as good as it is, but this is probably the biggest surprise all year for me. How great this fragrance actually is. I could say it hands down easily beat basically all the niche and designer fragrances in this whole box, which was like over 20 fragrances. This was still the best in the whole box. And oh my goodness, it is so good. And this is another example of fresh and sweet done right. It's not vanilla, it's a coconut that smells like vanilla. So it's a creamy coconut that ends up giving off more of a vanilla-y smell. And you get this citrus, this tropical citrus, at least I think it's citrus, it's something fresh and opening. It does smell very similar to Allure Home Sport actually, but more coconutty and more tropical. And I would wear this over Allure Home Sport just because it smells better. Like, and it does have that Eros kind of dry down, where it smells a little bit similar to Versace Eros, but it's more fresh than Eros. Easily more fresh, more mass appealing because there's no mint in here. Inoffensive, girls are definitely gonna love the smell of this, I promise you. For some reason, I said there was like some kind of white floral scent in here, like orange blossom, neroli, jasmine, lily of the valley, tuberose. One of those white florals. I'm gonna say it smells a little bit more towards tuberose or lily of the valley, some kind of like white floral. Because to me, it's not really a jasmine kind of floral. It's more, yeah, like tuberose or lily of the valley or something like one of those white florals. But the florals is not really that noticeable, so don't worry about that. Cool fact, we also have a plant called Murraya paniculata, which is like a mock orange. It's basically a plant here in Australia that smells like orange blossom, but it's not. So they call it mock orange. And to me, it does smell a little bit like that orange blossom type of white floral. Really pleasant smell actually. And I just love this stuff. For the price, I think this is one of the best fragrances you could actually buy. So I'm gonna buy a bottle of this and it's gonna be like probably in my top 5 best scents of all time. So next, I'll move on to the next one, which is actually Givenchy Pie, I think it is, sorry. Yeah, it's just Pie by Givenchy. So Givenchy Pie is an old classic that's been around for decades. It's old, everyone knows about it. It's probably been in everyone's collection. It's a staple, but for some reason I've never actually tried it. And you probably already know what it is. It's a vanilla-y scent that has like a nutty accord in there. But to me, this is heaven in a bottle. This is like a better version of Jazz Club. You get this boozy vanilla with this nutty accord. I'm not sure what nut it is, but I can smell some kind of like almond or a nutty accord in there. That's just amazing. The vanilla in here is more boozy, like a Jazz Club kind of boozy vanilla, and it's great. In my notes, I said there was some kind of floral in here. I think I did say it was like lily of the valley or something. Yeah, it leans more towards like a lily type of floral. Not very strong, but it's more of a sweet floral. Calming, sexy, my type of fragrance. Very similar to Jazz Club, but completely different in its own way. Like there is no alcohol or tobacco in here. And I think this may smell actually slightly outdated though, because for a vanilla scent, it does actually smell a little bit vintage, like a little bit more of the older school vanilla you'd find in older fragrance, because vanilla's really come a long way in fragrance. This is more of an older vanilla, but don't be fooled, it's not bad, it's really nice. It's just, there is a slight kind of mature dustiness to it, where you can tell it's like, probably like your grandma, or well not your grandma, that sounds bad, maybe like your parents. I'll say your parents maybe wore this at some point in their life. So Givenchy Pie, I love it. I mean, how could you not love this? It's vanilla, nutty, sexy, great scent. Okay, now the last fragrance I got, let's see if I have enough time before my camera dies, it's actually Ralph's Club. Ralph's Club by Ralph Lauren, obviously. So this was also a very, very hyped fragrance online and I wasn't sure what to think about it. I will say the perfumer is Dominique Ropion, who is master perfumer. He created like YSL EDT and a bunch of other popular fragrances. Ralph's Club, he does sweet fragrances very, very well. And to me, this, when I first smelt it, I was actually disappointed because of how basic the opening was. Then I smelt it like another 5 times and I'm like, oh, I can smell why it's so good. Each time I smell it, it just gets better. So this is a fragrance, you can't judge it the first time you smell it. You have to test it like 10 times and then you will like it. Creamy lavender wood. This actually does have lavender in it, by the way. So it is an actual lavender you can smell in here. But I get like a vanilla-y, creamy, soapy lavender. It does give off that bath bomb kind of smell as well though. That skin lotion, creamy lavender, what I was talking about with Moustache. But this is more mass appealing. This is like a more fresh lavender without it's not as sweet. It's like a very, very well balanced fragrance. I think this, I get some kind of citrus in here too, like a blood orange or what did I write in my notes? I said like blood orange, but I did say there was like a pink pepper in the very, very dry down like maybe after like 40 minutes, you can smell like a little bit of pepper or something in there, but it's not really noticeable in here, only in the dry down if you smell really hard, you know. Performance is not that great. Some people say it's like a Carolina Herrera bad boy kind of scent. I see the similarities, but it's not really the same as Carolina Herrera Bad Boy. To me, this is just a basic scent. Like Ralph Lauren stuck with the whole basic mass appealing thing and just made it a little bit different. Instead of a citrus, basic citrus, they've gone with a very, very simple, yeah, I'll use the word simple, not basic. It's a very simple, creamy lavender and wood scent. So there is vetiver in here, which I think the vetiver that might actually be what's giving it that peppery smell, because vetiver can smell dry and peppery and have that kind of spicy note to it. So I think it is the vetiver, but wow. This stuff is like something I can't stop smelling because I just want to keep seeing if I can pick out more things each time I smell it. And it grows on me, each time I smell it. However, my first impression, if this was a first impression video, it wouldn't be a very good first impression video. It would just be me hating on this scent the whole time. So keep that in mind. It's another reason why I don't do first impression videos that often, because I would have hated this. I would have been like, ew, wasting money, so basic, blah, blah, blah. Can't believe people are hyping this up, it's overrated. And you know what? I will say it's overrated. I'm still gonna agree with that. It doesn't deserve all the hype it gets, but I would wear it. You know, I would actually wear this. I'm not sure if I would buy it full price, but I would definitely wear it. And I think women are gonna like it generally. People need to stop comparing this to YSL Y. Like, yeah, it's made by Dominique Ropion. It doesn't smell like YSL Y. It just has the same perfumer. It's not even in the same category. It's not even a blue fragrance. They stop comparing Ralph's Club with blue fragrances because it's not even a blue fragrance. Guys, it's a lavender wood fragrance that cannot even be put into the same category as a blue fragrance. Now, with that said, it's a nice basic fragrance. Maybe more youthful, but this is very good for a date night if you're gonna see a woman. I think spray Ralph's Club on and a woman's probably gonna like stick to you all night because it's just a very cozy, comforting scent that I tend to gravitate a little bit towards, more like that cozy, soft, gentle scent. It's not sharp, it's not loud, it's not in your face. It's more like just a guy minding his own business that's very calm and gentle and soft, you know. So it's not a clubbing fragrance either. So if you think it's a loud clubbing fragrance, it's really not. It's like just a soft, soapy, creamy lavender, and that's the best I can describe. Because besides that, they don't have many notes on Fragrantica to go based off, and it is quite hard to describe the smell of. If you just have to kind of guess, like you just have to guess what's in here and what the smell is. And that's all of the fragrances I think I've gone through. If I'm missing anything, I might just edit it in the end of the video, but if that's all of them, then I guess the video will just end here. So thanks for watching, and peace out, guys.